Well, hi, welcome to a special bonus episode of My Favorite Mistake. I'm your host, Mark Graban. We're joined, repeat visit from Josh Cunningham. He is the CEO and founder of Rokrbox. He was a guest in episode 244, where he kindly shared his favorite mistake story. And as we follow up with our guests, he has a book out. So, congratulations to Josh. It's titled Culture is the Key: How to Unlock Massive Profits and Freedom. So, Josh, welcome back. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and really appreciate the opportunity to feature you in the book as well. So that was a nice little
Yeah.
shared expertise in there. Obviously, culture's been something that's been incredibly important to my path to success. And so, along my entrepreneurial journey, I've met so many other business owners and entrepreneurs that have sort of struggled with those messages and those golden nuggets and those thought provoking questions. And so, after interviewing enough entrepreneurs, yourself included, I
Hmm.
thought, why don't I put all this together and create a book? So that's
Yeah.
what we
Well,
did.
it looks great, and it's got some great endorsements, and so we'll come back to the book in a second. But it's been a little while. How are things coming along in general at Rockerbox?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since our first conversation. Things at Rockerbox have been explosive as of lately. We spent some time last year completely re-engineering our tech stack. So really, just kind of doing an internal reflection on. Every year we get together with our leadership team and we do a SWOT analysis. And for years we've always been thinking about like what more value can we add, what more can we include, what more bonuses and benefits can we add. And the real estate market had been slow for a couple of years. Interest rates went up, buyer behavior slowed down. And so we actually asked ourselves the opposite question last year, and we said, what's the least amount of work that we have to do to still be able to create a, a good enough movement in their business, right? But the whole goal was about reducing our costs, right?
Hmm.
How do we find ways to find more efficiencies and create more shortcuts and reduce the number of steps that have to be done manually, and then ultimately be able to pass those savings on to our clients. So I am a guy who's so passionate about company culture, and company culture is human capital driven. But we
Hmm.
actually asked ourselves last year, how can we take away things off of our human capital like to-do list and do more things with technology? So we
Hmm.
invested in some AI tools, some API integrations, and we thought, what's the least amount of things a person has to do? And then let's reward that person as much as we possibly can. So the end result was we rolled out lower prices for our clients and we gave raises to all of our employees.
Wow.
So it was quite the win-win formula
Yeah.
that we landed on. So it's been very exciting. We've had some explosive growth, and anytime you've got growth, that creates newness and creates opportunity and
Hmm.
creates hiring opportunities and promoting people into our leadership team. And so those are all the fun things that go along with growth as well.
Yeah, well, it's always exciting to hear when a company and a CEO understands that this can all go hand in hand. It can be win-win-win, even for
Hmm.
for the customers, for the team, for the company, and for the owners. That lower cost and better performance, and a continued focus on culture,
Hmm.
can all go hand in hand. That's such a great story.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one of our core values is we act in the best interest of our company, our customers, and our coworkers. And so we're always looking for those win-win opportunities. A lot of times, especially when times are tough externally, we look at, okay, well, who's going to get the shorthand now?
Hmm.
Is it going to be the customers? Is it going to be the bottom line? Is it going to be our coworkers? But we very much very persistent and intentional about creating a win-win opportunity for everybody.
Yeah. Well, and the book again, culture is the key, and there's 5 stars on the title, and Josh is holding one up too. His podcast is called the 5 Star Company Culture, and I want to ask a little bit about how the book came to be, not just about the sections where you sort of recap in chapter 4 some of the things I shared as a guest, and in the back of the book you share your story when you were here on the My Favorite Mistake podcast. But yeah, I mean, it's a big undertaking. You have a lot going on. Like, what's the story of how the book came to be?
Yeah, so I started the business Rockerbox back in 2013. So we're coming up on our 12-year anniversary. And I essentially just saw that there was a gap in the real estate industry where agents needed to follow up with their leads and they weren't doing that. So, like any good entrepreneurial formula, it's find a problem, create a solution, right?
Yeah,
Find a problem,
right.
create a solution. So that's all I was into for the first several years of the inception of the company. But with after a couple of years, when we really started to hit some strides of success, it was like, well, what am I in this for? Like, what gets me out of bed every day? Why am I still excited about calling internet leads every single day? And so after some practices and some routines and some self reflection, I was like, I think this is a purpose driven organization, and our purpose is to move people forward. Like, we're obviously moving leads through the sales pipeline, right? Getting the cold ones and warming them up, but then seeing at that point in time the impact that our work had made on the teams that we were working with, and how they had created leverage and freedom in their business and didn't have to worry about who's calling the leads now. They could actually just focus on other things.
Hmm.
And then also all the callers. We've now hired and trained over 400 students from Texas A&M to do this real life, real tangible sales funnel management step, that has taken them to such high heights in their young professional careers. And so that's when it kind of hit me. And this is probably back in 2017. I was like, that's what our purpose is. Our purpose is to move people forward. Yeah, we happen to be calling internet leads, and we happen to be hiring students from A&M. We happen to be in real estate, right? Those are all just
Hmm.
kind of things that have happened, but our purpose is to move people forward. And from that point on, I started speaking about it, started doing a lot of podcast episodes, launched a brand called Five Star Company Culture, and took on some private consulting clients. But really, where the book came from was those years and years and years of all those conversations and those interviews. And I finally hit a point where I was like, man, I've really created a ton of content here now. What,
Hmm.
what would be the easiest, most streamlined way to deliver this to people? And so as we were re-engineering our tech stack with Rokrbox last year, and our prices became lower and our sellable market became 10 times bigger, we're like, we need to speed up the process here. And so we used to take people through like an hour-long webinar, and we would talk to them how we hire our employees and how we train our employees and how we have contests and how we have masterminds and how we have daily huddles, and like we used to break it all down because we were very premium level service, and so we really wanted to articulate the value before we gave people the sticker shock there.
Hmm.
But now that we've eliminated a lot of costs, we've eliminated a lot of our fees, we've reduced our expense, and we've increased our addressable market. We're like, well, we need to get this information to them quicker. So
Hmm.
instead of taking them through an hour-long webinar to tell them how everything is so important to us, we're like, well, I know what we'll do. We'll just take all those lessons, all those nuggets, all those thought-provoking questions that we asked ourselves, and we'll put it in a book. And then when we just get to our sales presentation for our new Rokrbox prospects, we say, hey, we hire the best talent, they're US based, and we bring them into a culture that allows them to thrive. And we've got a book, and we'll put that in the mail for you so you can read all about that on your own time, because it's just abbreviated everything. So that was kind of the
Yeah.
inspiration for the book, and that hit me around December of last year. And then I had a big live event that I was speaking on stage in front of about 500 agents in March. And so I thought, okay, well, a dream without a deadline is just a hallucination. So I
Yeah.
said, all right, that's what it's going to be. I'm going to have it done by then, and we'll have it published. And so I got it published March 1st, and had it for that live event to hand out to some of the attendees. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
been great.
I could see where this book would be helpful to your customers and to your prospects. But I mean, I think for entrepreneurs and business leaders in general, like this is like a highly digestible format with a lot of kind of call out points and golden nuggets and things to reflect on and key takeaways. And so, yeah, I mean, this is the kind of book that you could just kind of randomly pick a chapter and
Yeah.
read a little bit every day,
Yeah.
or look, scan, the titles and say, well, I want to read about navigating change today,
Yep.
and you jump right there.
Yeah, that
So,
that was kind of the idea, is little bite-sized chunks. They're interviews with people. Some of them are super, very close personal friends of mine, and some of them are people that I've met in passing, but that I very much respected and appreciated their opinions. And so, a wide diverse of industries are represented
mhm.
here. Even though I come from real estate, there's people from the service industry, there's people from military. There's someone I met at one point in time calls herself the cultural shaman. So
Yeah.
there's all sorts of people from different walks of life, and what you're going to gather from this is just it's sort of like a buffet. Like when you get a plate and you go to the buffet, you don't need to get one of everything. You don't need to load it all up on your plate and think that it all tastes great. But you go and read all these people's stories, and gather all their opinions, and then choose some things in there. There's some, we highlighted it, and like I said, three different sections. We got the golden nuggets, which that comes from the analogy from our brand here, Rokrbox, which is a gold mining tool used to separate sand and gravel from gold. So we got the gold nuggets, which are just really great things for you to just jump on and collect. The challenge to reflect is a little magnifying glass.
Mhm.
That's going to be some sort of thought-provoking question. That's always great. That's always what's helped to drive my business forward is thought-provoking questions. And then the last thing is some action items. So some really easy to implement
Mhm.
action item solutions that you can just bunch some stuff in your business and see what the ROI is and see if
Yeah.
it vibes with your team. And so that was kind of the idea there.
Yeah. Well, it looks great. A lot of insights and a couple great endorsements. Kevin Harrington, who we chatted about in your episode as
Yeah,
a mentor of yours. He was.
he was on your show. What?
I'll remind
Wasn't
the
he?
audience he was episode number 1
Nice. That's
of
great.
uh, of My Favorite Mistake. And then, there's a picture of you and Kevin in here, and then Joe Theismann,
Yeah.
super NFL quarterback and broadcaster. How did you meet Joe?
Very cool guy. Yeah, I met him
Yeah.
at a speaking event one time backstage and got to spend the whole day with him and just heard all his stories. And it was really cool, his path to success, because, I mean, for a lot of people, when they think of Joe Theismann, they just think of like the leg breaking, accident
No,
of like
right.
just wiping him out of his career. But
Awful injury.
what
Yeah.
was really interesting is the transformation that happened to him as a person after that. Because if you think all of his accolades statistically happened before that injury.
Yeah.
Like that was his entire career happened up to that point. But it was from that point on that really sort of transformed his who he became as a person, and the fact that he's still a reputable figure in sports
Yeah.
authority
He's done
and
so
business
much.
authority, team building, champion mindset. I mean, the guy's an NFL champion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just great. Got to spend the whole day with him and stayed connected after that event. But yeah, he's a very genuine guy, great speaker, and speaks from the heart, and has a really great message as well.
Yeah. Well, you get to meet some great people along the way, and
Oh yeah,
it's really wonderful to see. And I'm happy I've met you along the way, Josh.
yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
thanks for coming back and giving us the update on how things keep rocking along there at Rokrbox. And
Yeah,
congratulations again. The book is "Culture is the Key: How to Unlock Massive Profits and Freedom." So,
yep.
Josh, again, congrats. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mark. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And if you really are want to shoot me a sweet personal message, I'll put one in the mail for you. Josh at Rokrbox.com.
Okay, and that's Rokrbox,
You got it. Yep,
Rokrbox.com.
got it right there on.
Oh,
I don't know if
all
that's
right.
backwards or forwards, but Rock
No,
R O
no,
K R B
I
O
see it
X.
forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Thanks
Yeah,
again, Josh.
I'd be glad. Yeah,
Oh,
glad for your listeners. Be glad to drop one in the mail for you. So
thanks for offering that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me back, Mark. Always a
Of
pleasure
course.
connecting with you.
Of course. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.